What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm probably going to guess right off the bat that you most likely did end up seeing that title and you went, what? But here's the thing though, yes, I am going to go into an early retirement here in the auction house, at least for right now. Don't get me wrong, there are still going to be 3 or 4 other cars I am currently going after that I do have some video ideas for and stuff like that, so I am going to keep an eye out for them and most likely go after them. But at the moment though, I'm most likely going to slow down a bit and probably go and play the game a bit more. Who would have thought that's probably what you should do? Don't get me wrong, I can even admit that in some ways I probably did end up getting a bit addicted to the auction house, man. Can't lie there. It kind of did happen if I'm being real. Like, I pretty much spent a lot of time in there going after different vehicles and stuff. And you probably did end up seeing the title, by the way. So yes, over 30 plus rare vehicles I have ended up getting so far. I am going to be a brand new Forza Horizon player. I've never played any game in the series, and I'm also going to be on the PlayStation 5, and so far I am really loving the game. In fact, I gotta admit, the auction house is probably going to be one of my favorite things about it, because yes, a lot of the vehicles are going to be rare in the game, at least for the moment that is, because, well, in the future I would say every car is probably going to show up in the backstage at least eventually, so at least players can know that they'll eventually get the cars at least over time. But if you are looking to go after them now, you still can by going into the auction house. Pretty much any rare vehicle you can think of, guys, is going to be in there at one point or another. One good way I was looking at this, though, is a lot of players might look at the auction house and go, man, is this car ever going to show up? Does this thing even exist? Can I even get this thing? What if it never shows up? And the biggest thing I really did end up realizing going after many rare vehicles in the game, guys, is one simple thing. It's not going to be if the car shows up, it is going to be when. Now, the reason why I do say this, people are going to be like, nah, Block, that's not even true, man. Here's the insane part, though. I've gotten a lot of rare vehicles in the game I thought I would never end up getting, or even seeing for that matter. I am going to have a few videos on these cars, but some of which are going to be the Plymouth Fury. Never thought I was going to get that car. Also did end up getting the Belvedere. One other vehicle I was on search for. This took probably a week. Actually, no. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks of checking the auction house, wondering if this thing even existed, and that is going to be the Polaris RZR Pro. I cannot imagine how many times I've checked the auction house, wondering if I was ever going to get the side-by-side and stuff, and boom, one night around 3 a.m. I was checking it, and there it was. It ended up popping up. I honestly couldn't believe I did end up seeing one. It was crazy to me. But right then and there in that moment, I was like, yo, it's not if these vehicles pop up, it's when it's going to be. We all do know it is going to be completely random. Like, for example, you could see nothing for probably around 3 or 4 hours, and then boom, you'll see like 3 or 4 vehicles depending on what it is pop up. Sometimes even more than that. Like, one time I was looking at the Camrys, I think I saw 7 of them within probably like 10 minutes. Like, they were coming up all the time. They were obviously selling in probably like a half a second, but they were still coming up a lot. So that is going to be a sign that yes, these vehicles are going to show up, but it's not going to be every single time you look in the auction house. Now, again, I am going to do a video on the Plymouth Fury and also the Belvedere and stuff like that, so stay tuned. I'm also going to have a video on some of the old Subarus as well that I did end up getting, and I'm also going to be experimenting with some new video types with that, where I'm going to try some different stuff with it, which is going to be along the lines of topics based with the cars and stuff like that, so do stay tuned. Figured why not, I really am enjoying Forza, so I'll try out some different stuff with involving that. But either way, guys, I did end up getting the RZR Pro, and that car really made me think about it. On top of that, I did even end up getting something like the Ioniq 5N, which I never thought I'd get that vehicle. Also did end up getting the Jaguar F-Type, or I'm sorry, Jaguar, it's not Jaguar, like a Jag and then a wire. Jaguar F-Type SVR is going to be a very rare vehicle, sells for like 120,000. Think that's the max buyout on it anyway, and boom, did end up getting that car as well. So yes, it's going to be possible. It really does blow my mind though, because a lot of the things I have been noticing about the auction house, whether you're looking to make a lot of money from it, looking to get a lot of rare vehicles, for one, it is going to take a long time, guys. You definitely need patience. The reason why I do say that is sometimes when you're looking at the auction house, it's going to be very wonky. The reason why I say that is sometimes you could just be messing around and go, I'm gonna go check the auction house. You can log into the auction house and maybe see one car in like 3 hours. Other times you can log into the auction house, you're legit the first 5 minutes you get in there, boom, the car you can ever dream of is right there the second you get on. Had it happened to me a couple of times. I've also logged on. I haven't seen anything for 4 hours or 2.5 hours, and then boom, I finally got the vehicle. Maybe I saw one or two. Other times you can log on, be on the game for like 2 minutes, and there's the car. Like, it really is going to be such a big RNG factor. And now sometimes a few things are going to play into that. Like, yeah, you might not see the car quick enough, or somebody else is going to be trying to snipe alongside you and they get the vehicle. So you're probably not going to win every single vehicle when you do try to search for them and stuff, but that is probably going to be the factor of being resilient and stuff and going, no, I'm going to get this car even if it's going to take me a while. That was something in my mindset with it, like I wasn't going to quit, which is probably the way that I am. Like, I knew I would get the cars eventually. I didn't know when, but I knew I couldn't quit because that means I would never get the car, right? This can play a role in other things in life. If you know and like you're doing something and you do quit, how are you ever going to get that thing or get there? So I kind of look at it like that. Like, I'm not going to quit. Let me keep the resilience and go after this vehicle. And boom, I have legit got every single car I've searched for in the game so far, guys. I haven't stopped. Some cars are probably going to take longer than others, and you might even honestly believe in some ways, which I was also going to be in the same boat, guys, so you're not going to be alone here wondering if the cars are ever going to show up, but yet you still really wanted something like the Camry or something like the Nissan Sentra Nismo and stuff like that, or different vehicles that you most likely never see that often. But the thing is, they're going to be in there, and that would probably be the biggest thing for a lot of people, even including me, though. Like, you're not going to want to sit in the auction house hoping to get one of these cars for 3 or 4 hours on end. And in some ways, I would also recommend not doing that. I was looking at some vehicles. I think the max I would look for certain cars, I would say maybe 2.5 hours, and I would end up calling it if I did not see anything, guys, because you know the worst part is, you could probably log off at like the 2 hour mark and then somehow a car would appear at 2 hours and 5 minutes. But the issue is we cannot predict that, so that really isn't going to work, at least if you're on console. If you're on PC, there could be some crazy mods or something you might be able to use. Hopefully there isn't. Wouldn't doubt it, which is also why you might lose some of those vehicles, which I will talk about that here in a quick second with me being a PS5 player, and yet I've still gotten a lot of these cars. I have been noticing people talking about that as well. If I'm going to be sitting on here for an hour or two, which I can understand why players don't want to do it, and again, I would recommend not sitting in the auction house for 4 or 5 hours at a time, man. Like, go play the game, do some races, do some stuff, and come back to it and visit it, and eventually you are going to see that car pop up. I feel like you shouldn't ruin the game's experience or ruin your own experience playing the game by simply sitting in the auction house for 8 hours a day. I would say that would most likely bore anybody. With that being said, though, and me also being on PlayStation 5, that was one thing I've been seeing a lot of people saying around, that you're going to have a huge delay and people are going to be using macros and cheats and stuff like that, and you're going to be slower on consoles, which I would say in some ways is going to be true. Someone mentioned the Xbox One's a bit slower. That I could definitely see because that's going to be a last generation console. And that's the thing, though, is I have to admit right now, guys, with me being on PlayStation 5, I'm going to be real and say that, well, I've honestly not had that many issues in the auction house with it being slower. Now, I did have a video about this, which I'll leave a tag on the screen for. Something like getting rid of the moving backgrounds, being in performance mode, using something like the Peel Trident or Peel 50 or something. And the other thing that's also going to play a role in this, from what I have heard, and also my friend did end up mentioning it, is the fact if you're going to be on Wi-Fi or an Ethernet cable. I think that might end up playing a factor. Do let me know in the comments below. I am going to be on an Ethernet, so I do load in different, or at least I guess you could say faster, at least maybe anyway. Either way, though, the PS5 is still quick, so I would say even on Wi-Fi, you should still have a great chance of getting the vehicles, but even then, you are still never going to win every single car because some of the vehicles are going to be fairly sought after, and the issue with that is if they're going to be sought after, and also very rare when they show up in the auction house, well, you are most likely going to be battling other people for those vehicles and stuff like that, which I understand. And in ways I kind of did enjoy that a bit because you know what? I was looking at the Jaguar, for example. I was like, okay, well, I did end up seeing one of these pop up and then boom, another one, failed both of them, failed the third one. And then there was also a fourth one that did end up showing up and boom, I finally got that one and got buyout successful. That really did feel amazing because I was like, man, am I going to be able to get one of these? Seems like other players want it, which is something I noticed about the Subaru WRX. That car was also very rough. A lot of players really want that thing, which I can't blame them. It's a very fun car to drive, and well, it's also a Subaru, which a lot of games don't even have Subaru, so that's probably another big reason, and a new Subaru at that matter. So I can definitely see something like the WRX being a challenge. The other car I did also end up having a challenge to get is going to be the GT Black Series or the AMG GT Black Series. Either way though, that car was going to be pretty rough to get. Funny part is I did have a friend that did end up getting on there and got that car pretty dang quick, whereas for me it was going to take well over 2 hours before I finally did end up getting one, because pretty much every single time I went after one I was getting the lovely buyout failed, and that's probably going to end up coming in the territory of the auction house. Now with that, you probably also saw in the title that I've made over 400 million. Funny part is I would say it's probably closer to $450 million made, and yes, that is going to be completely true. No glitches, no hacks, nothing, and that will all end up being from just auction house car flipping, which is kind of insane to think about. Like, I did know there was going to be some type of market in there, but never really thought I was going to be able to get that insane with it. I would say some of it is going to be luck, being at the right place, right moment and stuff like that to grab the cars. I have been flipping a lot of vehicles, guys, and stuff like that. I think the total amount, I'm like maybe over 44 cars I think I have flipped so far, which is probably going to sound insane. You're talking of a profit margin of around 6 million to around, let's say, 17 million, depending on how much you can buy that car for. It does kind of make me laugh because people did not want to get the cars for around 10 or 11 million, even though if you're going to buy something like a Camry, a 4Runner, even something like the Dodge Challenger Super Stock, or even something like the M5, and you got the other Pro Stock Camaro, the Z06 currently, which we do know that will probably end up changing with that car, but some of the vehicles are going to sell for a $20 million profit easily. The only thing is, though, you're going to have to get the car for less. So what I would do is I'd always aim for the vehicle being 11 million or under. You are always going to make something from that vehicle. So let's say you buy one of the Camrys for 11 million. Man, that's going to still be expensive. Well, you can pretty much go and immediately flip that car and sell it for 20 million. They're going to take like 2.5. You still make over 17. It is still a $6 million profit. I was actually explaining this to somebody on Discord, and they're like, "Yo, that's really smart, man. You're like studying the auction house or something." And you know what? I kind of was, because I knew I could probably make a good amount of money from this, and turns out I would probably say I kind of have done pretty dang well. I mean, I'm sitting at over 150 million, and so far I would say the amount of rare cars I've been able to get is probably going to be pretty insane, especially being a brand new Forza player. I would say people on Xbox would probably look at my car collection and go, "Bro, what?" Like, I don't have every single rare car, but I definitely have a lot of them, and there is again going to be a few more I do want to go after. Also stay tuned for that, because I am going to be doing a my collection type of video as well in the future, going over the cars I have gotten so far, kind of going through the list and stuff like that, and pretty much going over all the vehicles I have so far, like my maxed out number, whether it's like 5 or 600 or whatever, something around that. But I did want to go over that in the future as well, because people were asking, and also I kind of want to show you guys what I've gotten so far. It really is insane though, because it does go to show that you can go into the auction house and most likely get most of the vehicles, even though in some ways it's probably going to take a while to get some of them. And we all do know, well, some of the cars are probably going to be a very big pain in the you-know-what in order to get some of them, because they're so dang popular. This could be like the Pro Stock Camaro. We all do know a lot of people want something like that. We also know the Camry and stuff. So you're most likely going to have to go into the auction house multiple times and try to get one. But eventually, I would say with some resilience and also persistence in there, you are definitely going to get them. Someone I was talking to on Discord a while ago was kind of worried that he wasn't going to be able to get some of these cars and maybe it would never happen. I was like, nah, man, keep at it. You're going to get them. Now this dude has the M5. He also has like the GTA. He also has the CCGT and stuff. He also did end up getting a Corvette Z06, and on top of that, a Pro Stock Camaro and a Toyota Camry. That one day he managed to flip like 3 or 4 Toyota Camrys, man. Like, it really goes to show, though, that it's definitely going to be possible, but the only unfortunate part is you're going to have to put a good amount of time into the auction house, which I would say is going to be an issue. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not saying go in there for like 2 or 3 hours a day, but you are going to have to put some time in there. And again, you can also get really lucky. I have gotten a good amount of cars kind of logging on, just checking for the heck of it, and boom, one of the cars will end up showing up. But other times, though, you're probably going to have to go, okay, well, this thing is probably going to take hours. And there's also going to be that small voice in your head going, yo, is this car ever going to show up? Like, am I ever going to get this thing? But I feel like it is always going to show up, at least in time. But the issue is, again, when will that vehicle end up showing up? Overall, though, I would like to know your thoughts on the auction house in the comments below, guys. How many rare cars do you have? Is there different vehicles you're going after? What are some of the vehicles you had the most issues getting, or what are some of the rarest cars you still don't have even to this day that you're searching for? I am curious to know your thoughts in the comments below. Overall, we can agree that the auction house is definitely going to be a very fun but also can be an annoying experience for many people. But I gotta admit, if you do stick to it and go after these vehicles, you are going to get them, guys. I'm still kind of mind blown. I made over 450 million in this thing, and on top of that, I have over 30 plus rare vehicles I did end up wanting, and I'm also kind of collecting some of them, but I gotta admit, most of them is cars I genuinely did want to go after because I'm kind of surprised they're even in Forza. I'm looking it up going, yo, the Plymouth Fury's in here, or the Nissan Nismo Sentra's in here. What? I've got to go after these things. I did, in fact, also flip out when I found out the AMG Black Series is in here, man. I love that thing from Gran Turismo. Had to have that car. I saw the Subaru WRX, had to have it. So I would say, guys, again, if you're going after these vehicles, do not give up. The hardest thing I would say about the auction house is, again, patience, because most of the time you're probably not going to see the vehicles, but don't worry, because you eventually will.